There is no escaping the headwinds currently affecting financial markets. With me to talk about how Societe Generale is managing this new investment environment is Marion-Bouchacourt, the CEO of the French bank's Swiss business. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Jade.
Perhaps you can tell me how Societe Generale is set up in Switzerland.
Well, in Switzerland, I would say we have different activity. We have a subsidiary, which is a private bank, mostly based in Geneva. We have a branch, which is a corporate and investment bank, mostly based in Zurich. And then we have a smaller activity around mobility and another one around equipment financing.
There's been a lot of talk about a shortage of talent in the market. How's Societe Generale dealing with this situation?
If I look, because we are a small entity in Switzerland, it's complicated to keep everybody for a long time because at some points, even you are very good, there is not always an opportunity for you. But I would say we do quite well. There are some activities where turnover is higher, like for example in KYC, where there is a lot of demand, and also after some time people want to do something different. But I would say overall there is quite a good fidelity of our staff, and we are able to attract people. The other thing is, I have been very much pushing for having local talent,
right,
and not only French people or people from the group, because I think it's important to be rooted in the local environment. So I think it helps also attracting other talents. People know that you have this guy, and then, there is kind. And Switzerland is small, people know each other, so it helps attract talent.
Looking at your corporate and investment banking activities in Switzerland, you've been heavily involved in commodity trade financing. How has this been affected by the war in Ukraine?
Trade commodity finance is a business where you have to know very well your client and manage your risk. All banking business are managing risk, but on this one, I think it's especially important. I would say we have been doing quite well, even during the COVID time where there were issues. We managed properly without any big problem. And I think going forward, you see, following the war, you see flows changing. But clients are always trying to adapt. And even though we have exited some clients, there are others. And in fact, in trade commodity finance, you always have a dynamic of looking at your portfolio of clients on a regular basis, choosing those that are managing their risk properly versus other where you start to have questions. And it's just the same. So then maybe the topic I could say is how is going to be the environment.
How do you see this coming forward? Going forward, do you think you'll be making less loans to commodity companies?
I would not say so. We will just finance flow. It's more when you discuss with trade commodity traders, you see that they start to see volumes decreasing. They start to have, questions about is a recession coming? And there we will adapt. It's not doing business for doing business. We manage the volumes according to the risk.
Okay. So you could expect maybe perhaps in the second half of this year to see more impact from all these developments?
The second half, I'm more cautious. I think the first half was quite okay, with good result. I think the second half, we will see. And we have to be prudent.
If we look back at times of difficulty, maybe comparing the current situation or the upcoming recession, if it happens, to 2008, what would you say the main differences are in the industry, how we are placed, how we are set up?
I think 2008 was coming after a very, very good time, and I think we were not prepared to face crisis. I think a lot of things have changed since. I think regulators have pushed us to be much more structured with a much better management of our risk, much better procedures of looking at companies. I think models have been reviewed. So I think we are in a much better position compared to 2008. And I think also regulators are anticipating much better, you know, and they are asking questions about our portfolio of leverage loans. And I think all of that is making sure that we are able to manage a phase of recession. But it's true that it will be a different world with inflation, and in banking we haven't had inflation for a long time. So it's really a different environment, and the generation which are here now are not the generation that were there when we had inflation. So people have to learn again how to do it. But I think, at least from a structural point of view, there are a lot of progress that have been made.
Talking about progress and sustainability, I would like to ask you, you know, looking at the industry, there's been some cases of greenwashing. We've seen also, you know, one bank being raided in Germany. Are we going to see more of these types of raids and greenwashing accusations?
I do think that, you know, it depends how you do your work. And you can decide just to put a green stamp looking at a few criteria given by rating agency, or you can decide to do your work more in detail. And we think that, you know, you have to do your own assessment with a bottom-up approach, looking at companies, their portfolio of activity, and knowing that company, you know, their average lifetime may be 30 years. How will they fare? Will they last 30 years? Can they last longer, given their portfolio activity, given the topic of sustainability? You know, are they protecting the environment? How are they managing that? And if you do the work properly, you are able to push, you know, the right decision, and then there are no greenwashing. And I think you have two obligations, one towards your clients, where you will advise them to the right company to invest in. But I think also there is an obligation towards the company where, you know, you have to tell them that, you know, maybe they haven't done the right things, but you are also there to, just as a financial institution, to push them and tell them that if they want to still have investors, you know, they have to move, and you have a role to play to help, you know, to help the common good.
You've described a very active management there. So would you say it's not a solution? You also mentioned the rating agencies. Would you say it's not a solution to just invest in the top 10 companies of a sustainable index, for example?
For me, you know, both are interesting. I think looking at the rating agency, they have different results. So, but it gives different perspective. And then you do your own work. Maybe with rating agency, you only are in an exclusion mode. When you do your own work, you can see that companies, you know, may not be looking good, but they are in progress. And this you cannot catch with rating. You can catch it by doing your own work, and then investing in a company which is progressing maybe is better for the longer term, because they will have good results and it's an investment case. And I think so it's why I think both are interesting and complementary.
Okay, so a combination of both.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anne, it was a pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you, Jade.